What's up guys, my name is Devin and welcome back to another episode of Footballrs. In today's video, we're going to be unboxing and reviewing the brand new Under Armour Spotlight Pro Suede. They finally brought back these Suede Spotlights and I can't wait to test them out. Let's do it. All right guys, so here are the cleats we're going to be taking a look at today. Again, these are the Under Armour Spotlight Suede Pros. Here is a good look at the tag. I'm pretty sure they are blue. These are an 8.5, and of course you have your pretty standard Under Armour box. You've got the big UA logo on the top, Under Armour script on the bottom, and then I already showed you guys the tag on this side, and that's pretty much it. So without further ado, let's get this box open and take a look at the new Under Armour Spotlights. Ooh. Whoa. All right, let me get them both out. This traction plate is nuts, but we'll get to that. Get them out of the box. So here is my first look impression of this. Later in the video, we're gonna do the full review for you guys, but check these things out, dude. This is nuts. So of course we have them in this all blue colorway, and these are the Suede edition. So Under Armour did the Suede upper spotlights like probably 5 years ago, and people absolutely loved them. So they finally brought them back, and oh man, if only you guys could feel this material. It's so soft, it looks so clean. Of course it doesn't wear very great, and this is a football cleat, so it's gonna get pretty beat up, but oh my goodness, this out of the box feel is just so buttery, looks so good in this all blue colorway. These things look crazy. So first, let me get some of the paper out of here, and ooh, they do feel pretty light as well. They also feel pretty stiff, but we'll get to that. First thing we're gonna talk about is the upper. Again, this is a completely Suede exterior, and it looks like it's pretty much just a one-piece upper through and through. A lot of cleats these days have kind of a booty system that runs beneath the outside of the cleat, but that is not the case with these. It's a little tough to see in there, but it is one piece all the way around. But there's definitely some material beneath the Suede that's gonna give it that rigidity and support that you guys need in a football cleat, so that's good to have. Geez, I can't get over how this upper feels. It just feels so good. But let's look at some of the details. You have a glossy blue Under Armour logo here. You have kind of this classic spotlight shape. It's kind of like this little piece that runs all the way through and kind of goes through the heel cup. And then on the inside, you do have another Under Armour logo right there. This is what it looks like from the top. Here is the lacing system. Pretty standard lacing system. Goes into these little loops that I assume kind of tie back down to the base of the cleat. So when you tighten these up, brings everything together. And then the tongue is a little bit different. It's a nice thin breathable mesh material, does offer plenty of stretch. And then the collar is gonna be the same material as well, so you can really bust this open and get your foot in there if need be. And then they do have a nice little heel loop on the back for you as well. I do like that they have this small bit of overlay right here on the toe box. This part of the cleat is gonna get the most wear, so it's good that they added kind of a second layer here to give it a little bit more support and keep it from getting all messed up super early. Next thing, let's take a look at the inside and see what they've got for padding. So Spotlights have kind of been notorious for heel blisters, but this one has a bunch of padding. You guys can kind of see that thick padding in that horseshoe shape around your ankle and Achilles. Not really your ankle, but more your Achilles down there at the lower part of the ankle. But that's definitely a healthy amount of padding. We'll see how it does when we do the full review. Let me take out the insole. I assume this is kind of Under Armour's pretty standard 4D foam material. It's not actually. So this is their hover material. I totally forgot that they've been doing this. Holy crap, look how thick this insole is. Oh my goodness. Guys, this right here, this takes the cake for the thickest insole I've ever reviewed. This is crazy. Holy crap, dude, I cannot wait to put these on. You do get a little protect this house detail here, and of course the hover branding right there. And then this little pod that you guys see right here actually slots into the traction plate of the cleat, and it shows through this little window here. I'll show you guys, well, I guess I can just show you guys with this one, so you guys can see the hover branding kind of popping out through the bottom, which I think is very cool. And it also helps the insole stay planted in place along with this grid. So this grid probably locks into some sort of plastic shank beneath the cleat. It is a little tough to see. Let me see if I can get a flashlight in there for you guys. So you guys can kind of see that plastic shank that runs in there. So that's going to give the traction plate some more stiffness. And then again, it kind of hooks up with the grid on the bottom of the insole so that this thing does not move around, and it doesn't need glue to stay in place either, which I think is cool. Makes it easy for me to pull it out for the unboxing. But then I just put it back in, and it did not quite seat perfectly. I think that's right. Yeah, so now it's back in there where it belongs. I just noticed you do get some synthetic material that kind of runs through here, so that's going to give it a little bit more durability where those laces kind of go. Oh, also it does have one of these lower eyelets down here. That is called a runner's loop, so that is kind of a unique way to lace up your cleats and give you some serious heel lockdown. So now we absolutely have to talk about this insane traction plate. I honestly don't even know where to begin on this. This is probably one of the craziest looking traction plates I've ever seen. I don't know what you guys see, but I kind of see like this tie-dye twist effect to it. So you guys can see it's all kind of twisted around this main stud right here, but it's kind of tough to see like the stud placement because of how like abstract and intense this design really is, but there is a lot of teeth. I'm gonna do my best to take a good look at it and let you know what I see. So first things first is a 2-piece traction plate. We've seen this get kind of popular over the last couple of years. And in the front, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 studs. Again, it's kind of hard to see them all, and some of them are like so small you don't even notice them, but these studs on the edge, oh my goodness, these things are sharp, and there are several of them. They do kind of have these studs on the outer parts of the foot, so we've seen this a bunch too, and also this lip kind of comes up. So when you go to cut, your foot is going to push against this outer plastic here, and this stud right here is going to dig into the ground first. Also, you get kind of like a cool route tech detail here on the side. That's pretty cool. But as far as the studs, it's really tough to kind of see what's going on here, but you guys can see like they're at different heights in different places, and I'm sure there's some strategy behind it. I can't wait to see how it performs, but from a look standpoint, it's absolutely nuts. Then in the rear, it's more traditional. You have 4 studs. It's very similar to what we see on kind of that Nike Vapor Edge plate, just kind of 4 studs at like 90-degree-ish angles, and then that's that. These ones do have some kind of interesting like shapes to them, so they have like almost mini studs and then a cutout. So I'm gonna assume that cutout kind of lets the dirt kind of escape a little bit. I'm not really sure. I haven't done any research on these. Of course, before you guys see the full review in a couple of minutes, I will do all the research and get you everything you need to know about every single detail about this cleat. Also, check out this little Under Armour logo here on the back of the heel cup. That's pretty cool. Also, it's really cool that this part of the traction plate kind of comes up the side of the cleat and kind of helps lock in the bottom of your foot and get it secured in that heel cup area, which is right here. Also, pretty stiff heel cup. As far as the flex on the cleat, it's a very stiff cleat, so this is about on par with some of the Nike stuff, and it's a very similar design. I mean, 2-piece traction plate, plastic grid shank that runs through the base. Honestly, it's a pretty similar concept, so it makes sense that it feels about the same. Also, I'm not really sure if I talked about the cuff too much. I know I mentioned that it stretches wide open, but it is kind of like a cool knit material. I want to say they call it their thread lock material. I think that's what it was on the old Suedes, but I'm not 100% sure on this one. But it's a nice material. It's gonna hug the top of your ankle, but like I said, it also stretches enough to get your foot in there pretty comfortably. So I think that's gonna do it for the unboxing first impression of the Under Armour Spotlights. So now we're gonna get into the testing process and review these bad boys. Now that you guys have watched the full unboxing and my first impression, it's time to review them. We're gonna talk about the comfort, the fit and support, the traction, we're gonna weigh them, the style, what position these cleats are best for, and of course, the price. First thing we're gonna talk about is the comfort. Under Armour has finally done it. They have made a Spotlight football cleat that I think is comfortable. In the past, Spotlights have been raw, harsh, and leaving heel blisters, but these are comfortable. I think it all starts with the Suede upper. It's super soft right away and there's no break-in period whatsoever. It's flexible, it moves with you, and it just feels really good on foot. For the tongue and upper, they have a knit material that gives it a sock-like feel around your ankle. And you guys know I love ankle cuffs, and this one feels pretty good as well. I do wish these had some sort of padding on the tongue, because when you lace these up, you do feel a little bit of pressure from the laces on top of your foot. Also, for whatever reason, the laces on these are way too long. I'm not sure what happened there, if my pair just happened to get a long pair of laces, but they're just way too long. To continue speaking about padding, you do get a good amount around the lower part of your ankle, which is awesome. It's about a 1/2 inch thick and really helps lock your heel into place. I didn't feel any pain in my heel like I have had breaking in previous Spotlight models. Now, my absolute favorite part about these cleats, hands down, is the insole. Now, these have what they call a drop-in hover insole that feels absolutely fantastic underneath your foot. It's super thick, but still has plenty of rebound, and you still get a really good feel of the ground beneath you. It's honestly such an amazing feeling, and my favorite insole I've ever tested here on the channel. I might even take these insoles out and try to pop them into my day-to-day shoes because of how comfy they are. Overall, I'm super stoked on how comfortable the latest iteration of the Under Armour Spotlight is. The next thing we're gonna talk about is the fit and support. First things first, these do fit true to size, but they do have a pretty good amount of space in the toe box. Now, typically with a skill cleat, the cleat and toe box are narrow and cramped, but that's not the case with these. As someone who likes a little bit more room in the toe box, I was extremely pleased with how these felt. If you do want that super tight fit, I'd say maybe go down half a size, but I love how they fit as is. I mentioned it a bit before, but the Suede upper really conforms to your foot, and the feeling is really great. Also, the heel cup on these, paired with the padding I mentioned earlier, is awesome. Your heel plops into place and stays put the whole time. As far as support, there is a bit, but nothing really that crazy. Now, being a skill cleat, it is pretty bare bones. The Spotlight has always been kind of a bare bones feeling football cleat built for speed guys. It does have a bit of an ankle cuff, but it's a thin knit material, so it's not adding a ton of ankle support. I do like how the traction plate comes up the side of the heel and up by the side of the foot. It's good to have because when you go to cut, instead of that pressure from your foot pushing out through the upper, it pushes into the plate and transfers that energy into the plate and into the cut instead. It makes it super easy and feel natural to cut. Overall, in my opinion, the fit on these is pretty good all around, and they do have pretty much the normal amount of support in a skill cleat. The next thing we're going to talk about is the weight. These cleats weighed in at 10.4 ounces, which is kind of in the middle for a skill football cleat. It does feel a little bit lighter on foot, and I imagine a lot of that weight comes from that super thick insole. The next thing we're going to talk about is the traction. Now, this traction plate is pretty nuts. So I did some research, and Under Armour developed this plate based on biomechanical data. Now, to be completely honest with you guys, I'm not 100% sure what that means, but it sounded like they did their research and developed a plate with studs where the player needs them. That's my understanding, at least. Either way, let's actually talk about the plate. This is a two-piece traction plate with a plastic shank that runs beneath the insole. In the front plate, there are a total of 17 studs, and they are all unique shapes and placed strategically around the cleat. They're mostly sharp blade studs, but there are some smaller, shorter studs placed around as well. The most important studs are going to be on the front outside part of the cleat. These studs are going to be the first ones hitting the dirt when you cut. These allow you to cut on a dime and gives you a natural feel when doing it. Now, in the rear, you have the traditional kind of 4 angled studs. These are great all-around studs, and they help you accelerate, decelerate, and cut. The plate itself is also pretty stiff. The plastic shank that I showed you guys earlier does a really nice job kind of propelling you into that next step. Overall, it's a good traction plate. I was very pleased with it. It just has a good feel, and it also grips into the ground really nicely. The next thing we're going to talk about is the style. These things are sick. Everyone wanted them to bring back the Suede spotlights, and they came back with a bang. These things have such a clean silhouette, and this Suede upper gives them a super clean and premium look. The overall design is super simple, but they still demand so much attention on the field. And don't even get me started on the traction plate. This is one of the craziest ones I've seen, and it looks incredible. Also a huge fan of the drop-in hover insole and that little window on the bottom to see it. As far as the colorways, they dropped them in some seriously cool colorways, including this blue pair, a black pair, white, neon green, pink, red, and orange. I love this blue pair, but those all green tennis ball ones are really calling my name. Overall, just an excellent looking football cleat, and the Suede is such a nice, classy touch. The next thing we're going to talk about is what position these cleats are best for. Now, the Spotlight has always been a skill cleat, and I think it remains that way, but due to the wider toe box and the thick cushioning, I think some big skill guys could get away with wearing these as well. So QBs, running backs, wide receivers, DBs, and maybe linebackers and tight ends, they don't have a ton of support, but again, I think that wide toe box and all the cushioning in the bottom makes them suitable for big skill guys as well. The next thing we're going to talk about is the price. The retail on these is going to be $140. At first, I was like, well, that's kind of high for a skill football cleat. But then I remembered how much I really liked the cleat and the premium materials that they used. The Suede on these is genuinely just really nice. It feels good and it looks good. The price is definitely a bit higher than some of the competitors, but I think it's worth the extra money. High-end materials, a good fit, and an excellent look make it a good buy in my opinion. Overall, I'm super impressed with these. Under Armour finally made a comfortable Spotlight cleat, and I can't tell you guys how excited I am to be able to say that. The cleat also fits really well, and they brought back the Suede, which I'm sure all you guys out there are pumped about. Everybody loves these Suede Spotlights. I think this is going to be the most popular cleat we've seen from Under Armour in a long time, and I think it's well deserved. Well done, Under Armour. There you guys have it. There's the full unboxing review on the Under Armour Spotlight Suede Pros. Hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, make sure to like the video, comment what you guys want to see us do next, and make sure you guys subscribe for more videos just like this one. My name is Devin, and thank you guys so much for tuning into another episode of Footballrs.